Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Inside Indiana Overtime. Alex McCarthy, John Bauerfeind, you know the drill. We're here at Assembly Hall while they clean up in front of us and around us after Indiana did its job in the Big Ten ACC Challenge or ACC Big Ten Challenge, whichever way you want to put it, beating Pitt 81-69 in a game that Indiana kind of pulled away, late in the first half and didn't really let up. I mean, I guess at the end, they built what, a 23, 24
Yeah,
point lead.
23 lead with like 6:40 left.
Yeah, and then it dissipated down to 10 with 2.5 minutes left, and they kind of were able to stop the free fall there. But still, I mean, it's as well as Indiana's played all year. I mean, I would argue, even in that win against SMU, which was a ranked team, obviously, um, still, I think this was probably a more solid overall effort, both front court, back court, everything kind of working together. Um, they didn't rely on the three-pointer nearly as much as they usually do. They outscored Pitt, who is a larger, more physical, better rebounding team. They outscored Pitt 48-28 in the paint, which is a little unusual
for this team.
Yeah, and they only got out-rebounded by 8, which, again, not bad. Tom Fearon saying after the game that the effort in the paint kind of reflected the work that they've been doing in practice and all that kind of stuff. But really, the big takeaway that that was right on the surface of all of this was one of the members of that front court, Emmitt Holt, who led IU and scored with 15 points, even though he only played 19 minutes, which was the seventh most on the team. He had his 15 points. He had 5 rebounds. He played really well overall. I mean, he's done that in spurts so far, but tonight it just seemed like he had kind of an overall well-rounded game. I don't know. What did you think of what Holt and really the front court in general gave IU tonight?
Yeah, well, at the first media timeout with 15 minutes, 52 seconds left in the first half, Hunter Mascara picked up his second foul. He goes out, and after the media timeout, Emmitt Holt comes in, scores 11 points in the first half, grabs 3 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, and blocks 2 shots. And he scores 15 points for the game. It's a team high, makes all 6 of his shots, and he just looked really, really good. I mean, obviously he made all his shots, but even on the defensive side, he was grabbing rebounds. He finished with 5. Just finished with those 2 blocks. But what he provided, I mean, Hunter wasn't playing bad. I mean, those first 4. I mean, it was the first 4 minutes of the game. I think the score was maybe 7-4, 7-6 IU at that point. And so you really don't know what you're getting with Emmitt, because up until then, I think the most minutes he played was
12.
More than like 12.
As a total, he played 17 minutes.
Today he plays 19 minutes, and he played really, really well. And this is a big showcase. Obviously, the Big Ten ACC Challenge game is televised on ESPN2. After the game, obviously, they brought out Emma, and he talked about the whole Devin Davis thing. Crean was asked about it. He got very emotional. And you kind of feel that, the team, Emmitt, and maybe even Coach Crean, on some level, kind of, jumped a hurdle tonight with Emmitt and the whole accident. I mean, IU, I think, played their best game of the season. I mean, leading by 23 against an ACC team that was picked to finish number 6 in the conference. With just over 6 minutes left. I mean, they called the dogs off at that point. I don't know if you can really say they let them back in the game at that point, but
right. But it was, I agree. I think this is the strongest overall performance that we've seen from Indiana after probably the two or three weakest that we've seen, with only beating UNC Greensboro by single digits, and obviously before then losing to Eastern Washington, both at home, places where Indiana should have an enormous advantage. Tonight it was energetic, it was loud. It wasn't completely full, I don't think, but I mean the numbers sold will say it's probably a sellout, but the atmosphere is much better, and really this is what a lot of people have kind of been talking about this all year with Indiana, or all year for the first 7 games in Indiana, that they play up to their competition, they play down to their competition. They played their 2 best games against really the only 2 high-level competitive teams that they've played, against SMU and then tonight against Pitt. By far their best 2 games. And then they play down to the level of, Lamar they struggled to put away. They struggled to put away UNC Greensboro. Obviously they couldn't put away Eastern Washington. and that's a it's great that you play well in your best games or whatever, but you need to be able to kind of replicate that performance on a night-to-night basis. And you can attribute it to youth, you can attribute it to not having much depth in the front court, all these kind of things. But at some point, it just seems like they have to work that out, where they're able to put together strong performances game after game, night after night. And we'll see if they can then keep that going.
And to build off that, what I find very impressive about that was, not only did Honor leave the first half early, he didn't come back, or he came back in the first half, like the final 2 seconds or so. And though he hadn't been really playing well, I mean, he still is the starter. He still is, the team center. But Yogi only played 25 minutes, but still a lot. But for Yogi, it's not very much at all compared to what he had been playing. He picked up his third foul early in the second half, and Robert Johnson took over for him. Had a career and game high 9 assists, 6 points, some rebounds. He played really, really well, and he got into the lane at will, made some really nice passes, only had 2 turnovers. He had a great game, and James Blackman, who's a freshman but really has been playing like one. He was 5 of 14, didn't really shoot the ball particularly well. So it was good to see some of IU's other players, in particular Emmitt Holt, Robert Johnson. We didn't mention Colin Hartman. 7.7 rebounds, a team high 7 rebounds. Hartman just makes plays, man.
Yeah,
and
he's
it's only
all over
been
the place.
7 games, but he makes plays. And just watching him last year, he looked so timid, and this year he just knows his role maybe better than anybody on the team. Classic glue guy. I mean, you can throw out any sports cliche you want, but Hartman is that guy for IU right now.
Yeah,
another great game from him.
Yeah, no question. There was he got fouled on a layup, made it, missed his and one free throw, and ended up actually diving out of bounds to save the ball kind of bounced around a little bit. He dove out of bounds, grabbed it, threw it back in. I don't remember if IU scored on that possession, but it's just that play there, that whole kind of scenario kind of, for me, summed up Hartman's night of he's able to get inside, to score, and even when things don't really go his way, he's still there to kind of mop up his mistake and just kind of dive all over the place for his team. So that was, Hartman's play is surprising and obviously very encouraging for Indiana. So we'll see if Holt can kind of have a repeat performance, if these guys can kind of keep this, what they did tonight, rolling. They're going to welcome Savannah State in here Saturday night at 7:30. Again, not much of a test, but in a way it kind of is a test to see if Indiana can kind of keep going hard even against an opponent that I think Louisville held them scoreless for like 15 minutes when they played them the first time. It was something crazy like that. So it's obviously not a very threatening or frightening opponent. It would be very surprising if it's a loss or really even a competitive game. But we'll be here. We'll be taking it in, and we hope you'll join us on the thread and whatnot. But until then, for John Bauerfein, I'm Alex McCarthy, and you have a good week.